Alright, this video I'm going to go into direct and indirect lighting. I'm going to use some image examples to give you, a visual understanding of what I'm talking about. Also, what the uses are for each and how they affect your subject. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some images and talk to you about the difference in quality of direct and indirect light. So with this first image here, hopefully you can see this sort of soft glow that he has on his face. Another thing to recognize is that there are no harsh shadows, which is one of the things that you're going to find with, typically with more direct light if it's at an angle, right? Um, so he's standing in an art gallery just inside of the door, and this is like close to noon or high sun, and the sun is bouncing off of the sidewalk in front of him and lighting his face very evenly. Um, so, one technical thing about light is that the bigger the source, typically the softer the effect as far as texture quality that you're going to have on your subject. So this is an example of indirect lighting, which is actually at high noon. So that's the effect of bouncing the sun off the ground and not lighting him directly, so to speak. If I continue down, this is more of a direct lighting source. The sun is going down at this point. It's not hitting him too harshly, but as you can tell by there's a higher level of contrast and what we call specularity in photography, which is, when the light has these sort of direct reflections that you see in this area here, it's more specular. So in this image, you're getting much more of the texture of the person's face. Now, because the subject has very dark skin, one thing about dark skin is it has high dynamic range, which translates to you can have a lot of information from highlight to shadow very easily on darker skin. This is another example of indirect lighting here. This is back to that soft glow and no harsh shadows. The sun is actually in beyond the horizon. So this is around golden hour, and what golden hour means is that the sun, basically the spectrum of the sun, all the different colors are like bouncing around through the atmosphere, whereas the actual sun, the direct light source, is beyond the horizon, not affecting the subject directly. So again, this is what indirect light looks like. It's very soft and pleasing to the eye. Now in this case, this is another example of indirect lighting. I mean, you can just see how much she's glowing. It's not just the fact that it's indirect lighting, it's also the fact that it's hitting the subject mostly evenly. As you can see, just from the angle, just from the size of the arms, that these arms are not on the same plane. Like this arm is further back, so this arm is getting more light onto it, right? But that soft glow is the fact that she's standing under a tunnel, and again the light is bouncing off of the ground and splashing back onto the subject. So if you're trying to get a nice soft pleasing quality to the light, you really can't go wrong with having an indirect light source. It's let's say you shine a light bulb directly on somebody. That's going to give you harsher light than if you turn that light towards the wall and the wall becomes the light source. It's just a matter of the bigger the source, the more the light is hitting at different angles on a subject, so it gets rid of things like blemishes and like skin texture and pores, what have you. This is another example of direct lighting. You should be able to tell that it's pretty harsh and shows a lot of information and imperfections on the skin. Now this image here of Dre McKesson is a mix between direct and indirect lighting. So the sun is directly behind him, and so that rim light that you're seeing around the edge of his face here, edge of his face, edge of his head, that glow, that's more direct lighting. But what you're seeing on the front of his face is the sun bouncing back onto his face after hitting either a reflector or the ground in front of him. So you're seeing a mix between direct and indirect lighting, and as you can tell, um, there's much more texture in the direct light that's coming from the sun that rims his head than there is on his face. So it gives you like a nice, pleasing quality with also a lot of contrast. All right, so there you have it, direct versus indirect lighting. If you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to use the subscribe button. See you guys soon.